9 of the Growth Podcast. Now, I hope you're all doing very well this Sunday morning and having a lovely weekend, whatever it is you get up to at the weekends. And I'll leave that to yourselves. So anyway, joining me today is Kuziva. How are you? How's your weekend? And how many times have you been suspended refreshing the TX Madrid tickets?
I'm good, thanks. Obviously, we'll talk about Everton later, but besides that, I'm good. Weekend's been really good so far. I've been suspended 12 times now on the two exchange. But yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, fingers crossed. If you see my arm going to the side, it's because I've got my iPad here and I'm refreshing.
I have a tab open, yeah. So the same thing.
We're all at it. We're all desperate for Real Madrid tickets. Me, you, and God knows how many thousands of others. So anyway, we'll worry about that a bit later. So yes, look, in today's show, we're going to be looking back at Saturday's utterly predictable 1-1 draw with Everton, and when I say utterly predictable, it means I predicted it spot on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think many other people did as well. And then we'll take a look at the big one, the first leg of our Champions League quarterfinal against Real Madrid, which is coming on Tuesday evening. And there we go, and we'll chat around those two topics this morning. So, as we always do, as we kick off, what was your highlight and low light from the Everton game?
The highlight for me was Saka getting more minutes. I think it's always good that he gets, to full fitness. I heard that there could be an issue with his hamstring, could be a bit tight. So I'm glad that we're managing that. So that was my highlight. And then low light is a bit random, but I feel like it's the lack of belief that we're going to score in the last few minutes of the game. There was a time when I would always believe that 15 minutes is enough time to score and win all the time, right? And now I've lost that belief, and it could be psychological because refs are shafting us. It could be, I don't know what it is, but yeah, that's a low light. That is philosophical, but yeah, my feelings.
No, interesting in terms of that low light. I think it was more game state plus Real Madrid state. So I'll mention it later. We were playing in second and third gear, and I don't think we were prepared to go all out for the win, to throw everything at it, to risk everything. I think it got to the point, said, you know what, we'll go for it, and we were going for it. We were the only team trying to win it, but we're not going to go for it at all costs. We're not going to risk everything. And, in the scheme of things, a point away at Everton, and as frustrating as it is, I just don't think it was important enough to really go for it. Maybe if we were losing, but 1-1, you can see that, okay, let's just conserve some energy, either subconsciously or consciously. You always want to win it, but it's all about how much you want to go and win it. So no, I agree, and I think I was thinking that in my notes and stuff. I thought, we were the team on top in the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We were the only team really trying to win, and Martinelli was looking lively and stuff, but we weren't throwing bodies forward. We weren't going all out, and I think we were understandable on that. But also I think there is a sense of that. I think in terms of who we are at the moment, our ability to create chances, score more than one goal in games, it's just a reflection of who we are at the moment. But makes sense, and so maybe a bit of that belief isn't there. Some teams, there's an inevitability about them. We just don't have that at the moment. So good spot, that one. In terms of my highlight, a couple, Trossard's goal, obviously no injuries.
Yes.
A bit like you in terms of Saka, a proper return for Ben White. He finally looked fit and healthy. And as you said, important minutes for Saka and important minutes for Kiwior. The low light, and I left you with the open goal, but I will now slot that one in, is the softest of soft, marshmallowy, cloud, whatever soft analogy you want to make, penalties. And again, just PPR, piss poor refereeing. We'll get on to it, but it's just doing my head in, and I don't know. I'm actually bored and tired of it, and I
Me
don't
too.
know. I'm so frustrated. It's just like I can't even be bothered to be angry about it. But then, the more I think about it, then just the more just
Exactly.
annoyed and annoying it is. And yeah, we'll touch on that in a bit. I'm sure we'll get onto it very quickly. But first off, so in terms of the lineup, a very mixed lineup. Yeah, what did you make of it? Were you expecting this, or were you happy with it, or yeah, what were you making of a lineup? Which was,
Yeah.
so we had Raya, White, Saliba, Kiwior, and Lewis Skelly, then Jorginho, Rice, Merino, and Waneri, Trossard, Sterling. So yeah, what did you think?
I was content with the starting lineup. And I think going back to what you said, it was really good to see Ben White with his full first start. Um, I was sad to see our super striker with 35% shot conversion back in midfield because we've come to enjoy his presence up top, right? But yeah, it was a random team that I expected, given the fact that we've got a must win, in my opinion, first leg tie against Madrid in two days' time. But yeah, good to see Benjamin back. I'm glad to see Timber was not really injured, so he was on the bench. So that was really good to see. And yeah, even though Leo scored, he sometimes has weird moments. And the fact that there's no real competition just lets him do what he wants. So, I mean, again, just normal expected lineup. Annoying that we had to play some of our players a lot earlier than planned, the ones on the bench. But we still want to finish well in the league, so it makes sense. How about you?
Yeah, yeah. No, it was very much a starting 11 with Madrid on our minds. So I think it was right to start Ben White, and it was good, and he looked his back to his old self, still a bit rusty, but he looked quite. He looked like he wasn't quite there fitness wise in the last few games, but this seemed to be a much more like the old Ben White. Just yeah, still needs to iron out a few kinks of having been out for so long. I think he had to play Saliba, Kiwior, and MLS because I think that's going to be the starting three along with Timber against Real Madrid. So they need to build the relationships. They need to start working out how to play with each other and stuff like that. So I think it was important there. And to be honest, who else are you going to play?
Yes.
Unless you draft in Tierney at left back, I think that was important for them just to have minutes as a unit.
Yeah.
So yeah. But you're right. It was interesting. Sterling starting, Trossard starting, Merino dropping back into midfield. Yeah, it had Madrid on the minds just not to risk too many risk players.
Mhm.
Knowing Everton are a very physical, very direct team, very physical team. Yeah, you just want to minimise some of the risk. So I must admit, I was surprised. I was expecting him to go a bit stronger, but but actually, it turned out it turned out it wasn't too bad. So in terms of the game, what was your overall? We'll get into the bits and bobs of the games and the specifics, but in terms of the overall game itself, how it panned out, what was your thoughts on that? What did you make of the performance?
I mean, annoyingly, as you said, it was predictable. This is what we expected. I was on the pod two episodes ago, and I said that with Everton, what you don't want to do is fuck around because you will find out. And I know we found out through a very soft penalty, but we still drew 1-1, right? So I think all in all, I expected us to dominate possession. I expected Everton to sit low. I expected them to frustrate us. And that's exactly what happened. What is super interesting, though, is that Valencia and Madrid had a similar type of game, but Madrid actually lost with a lot of
Mm.
better players on the pitch. So I'll take that as a win. But yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. What I do also want to point out actually is our front three just were not at it. Even though Leo scored, it was just I felt like they could have done more as a group, and I don't know if it's because they are just so random. They don't play together a lot. But yeah, I need to call that out.
No, indeed. I think in terms of the front three, and as I said, Everton are very physical. If you look at their
Yeah.
back four, they're all I was just watching the game. They all just look like massive trees, massive units, and you got Winery lightweight, Trossard lightweight,
Yeah.
Sterling lighter than lightweight, featherweight. I don't know the boxing weights, but he's down there as one of the lower lower ones because he was falling over in a gust of wind. He was yesterday, and then complaining and joking aside, but some of those may have been free kicks and should have been free kicks. But they're not all of them are renowned for their upper body strength, and especially when you come across the back line of Everton, it's men against boys. So I think you're right. I think it was a mismatch of just a front three, tricky little players versus these big units, and and as I said, it was just right. Can we survive this? Can we get through with this? There were some promising moments, but Winery was just out of it. We hardly went down the right hand side, and when we didn't really offer much. So most of our attack was either through the middle or down the left with Trossard and Sterling. And so I think it was just again, make do. Let's see what we can get away with, and just make sure we don't give them too much. Because also Everton, they weren't going to have much possession. We knew what sort of game it was going to be. It was they're a team of moments. They're a team that want to take advantage of free kicks and be direct. I mean, look, in terms of possession, we had 71% overall. So we sort of knew what sort of game it was going to be, and it very much turned out that way. They had pockets of play, but it was majority of it was Arsenal. It was bitsy. It lacked any flow. It was a typical Everton game. They wanted to disrupt and just play on moments, play on their size. I mean, I would have, as I said, I predicted a draw, and to be honest, I think I would have taken the draw at the beginning of the game and just get out without any injuries. But having watched it and watched what happened, I am a little frustrated we didn't take 3 points because Everton offered nothing. I think they had 5 shots in total, two on target to our 14 shots in total, and now 5 on target. And as I said, they had pockets, but we played with Madrid in mind. That was obvious, and given the team we had out, we didn't really get out of second or third gear. It wasn't that bad a performance. I think we were fine in the main. We played well in patches. We controlled it, but it was still very Arsenal of the moment. Didn't create a huge amount. We were strong defensively, but we lacked that creativity.
On that point, this is the Arsenal of the moment. It's worrying because even with our first team and our stars, it sometimes feel like this is just us in the moment. And in terms of going into Madrid, I don't want us to go into the Madrid game with that mindset and mentality that this is just where we are. I can't control that. That's something they need to figure out, within their changing rooms. But it's been a tough season.
Well, I guess it's a momentum thing. It's players. Some players are not in particularly great form. And again, yesterday it's hard to read too much into that game because again, that first 11 we played with was just a team to make do with the situation, and then players are coming on, Madrid on their mind. They're not going to go for it hell for leather. Saka was not doing anything on his right foot. He was always cutting inside. He was not taking anyone taking on anyone out on the right. He would always come in on his left, so he was protecting that hamstring. We're not going for it, so it's hard going to analyze from a team performance. But in terms of the Arsenal now, we're missing something, and that's the accumulation of the whole season. Players in form, players returning from injury, and it is what it is. And momentum and belief is a massive thing. Like last season, when we were knocking teams out 4-0, 5-0, when you've got that inevitability, when you're just going to score, it happens, and it's just a culmination of things. And that's why I say Arsenal of the now. I think for maybe one-off games like Madrid, which are so big, I think that changes it a bit like, when we beat Man City 5-1, when we beat other teams well, you have those moments. What you don't have is the consistency, and we are a team at the moment that we're going to be winning games 1-0. We should have won yesterday 1-0, and we just don't have that extra bit to get the second and the third and so on. So look, and actually look on that yesterday. 1-0 should have been enough.
It should have.
should have been enough. I mean, as I said, Everton offered nothing. They are such a meh team. It was just such a look, and good. That's who they are, and they have to protect themselves. But I mean, of course, getting a second would have helped. But we've experienced this season, and sometimes we just can't get that second, and then we get screwed by the softest, as I said, the softest of penalties. And this isn't the first time it's happened to us, and we can't always go and score the second, the third, the fourth. You shouldn't have to.
Shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to play against variance, mitigate against poor refereeing. Everton had a 0.25 non-penalty XG yesterday. Like 1-0 was enough. Get out, and as I said, I'm so bored and tired of talking about referees and the energy to do it. But we have to. It was the main talking point of yesterday. The ref was it Darren England. So he's the same referee that upheld the MLS red card against Wolves on VAR. He's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was he waiting for his moment to get back?
Yeah.
Go on.
It feels like
Help me out here.
No, it feels like because we can't. It sometimes feels like it's a conspiracy, but it's not when it looks so blaringly obvious in front of our faces. It feels like he had his opportunity to say, fuck you, MLS, actually. And he did that. I am also tired about this conversation. We've spoken about this multiple times. I think we've lost depending on the Arsenal fan you speak to, like between 11 to 14 points this season alone from bad officiating. I know that it is a cross-league issue. Some teams get hit harder than others. The teams, the refs are just not good at their job. And it's a sign of a poor system. Like there's evidently lack of growth, right? We know the game is faster. We know there are more cameras. There's more pressure. There's more scrutiny. But this is exactly why standards should rise, not collapse. Officiating in this league is just getting worse. The tools are improved, but the decisions are getting poorer and poorer. And I think what doesn't help is that there's no accountability, no progression, just repeat errors and protection of failure. And the product is suffering because of it. And I said this like 7 months ago. I literally said, I know we won the game. It was a bad call. I forgot what game it was because there's so many. I was like, I know we won the game, but I feel so apathetic about football sometimes when you see really bad decisions like that. Like we're watching the world's biggest league being undermined from within, from its own people. It's like now maybe the conspiracy is this a soapy? Like, are these guys actually just selling a product to the rest of the world for drama? But if they are, then they're doing a good job, right? But that's my two piece because I am tired.
I mean, this week has been nuts. I mean, talk about Everton. I mean, look, I'm not in for conspiracy. I'm in for incompetence.
Yeah.
I'm in for bias, either be it conscious or subconscious. But it's more about poor officiating, substandard, just not good enough. Midweek, that Tarkowski tackle.
Yeah.
How is that not red? And how is that not red having VAR looked at it? And it's just like, their primary job is to protect the safety of the players on the pitch. And instead, this season, we've seen so many, violent conduct, and I don't mean punching in the face or head, but I mean just violent tackles, violent play being just waved off, being allowed to happen, not being officiated properly. Because you know what, it's hard. You have to make a decision, and they're afraid of making decisions, and instead minor infringements, kicking the ball away 3 millimeters is
a yellow card.
Is a yellow card, and they get behind technicalities of the game, because that's easy to say, whatever. But hey, you have to make a decision in a complex situation that requires proper good judgment. But actually, does it really? Bloody hell, Tarkowski. That just right one look, yeah, bloody hell, that's a red card. What are you doing? Instead, it's just all protectionism. It's all. So again, I don't believe in conspiracies, but I believe in. As a bias, I believe in poor officiating and everything, and you're right. It has cost us. It's cost us numerous points. And look, again, and this isn't complaining as such. It's just seeing reasons and before our eyes. I mean, even look, you got Spurs defender Michael Dawson
Yeah.
saying, it's saying that's the softest of penalties. I put a
First,
picture.
guys, just understand that.
Yeah, and you got other fans from other clubs saying what's going on. I put a picture here in our show notes of MLS on the floor on his back, Harrison still standing, looking at the ball, and they give a. But how on earth are they giving a penalty? I mean, to be honest, I went at halftime. I had to do some chores, and I come back, and my son goes, "Oh, Everton have got a penalty." So talk me through what happened. I mean, I saw it, but how? Talk me through how that was given as a penalty.
Make me understand, my boy. No, dude, I'm in alignment. It's just unbelievably frustrating that it feels like it's getting worse. And I know there's more pressure, but it just, yeah, like we're in a place now where the the perception of this product, bar what's happening with Man City, but like what's happening with just officiating game to game is dropping. People are saying, I don't wanna watch this anymore. But then, as I said, if it is part of the plan, it gets impressions, it gets clicks. But
Yeah,
that's a conspiracy, and that's just not realistic. It's
but
just competence.
yeah, and also, I mean, also it's MLS and what a 6 months he's having. We said on the last pod or post international, like, wow, what a 6 months debut for Arsenal, champions in the Premier League, Champions League debut, scores a goal for Arsenal, England debut, England goal. But I don't know, is he now got got a reputation? Is he now going to be ref differently because of? And I put this on the crappy media, on the gutter press.
Yeah,
After he happened to stick up, happened to do a celebration against Man City, jokingly, whatever. And now has he got a label? Is he now got a target on his back? Because just for whatever reason, I don't know. You tell me. But now, so now is he now going to be one of these ones that a bit like Granit Xhaka and other players that it's MLS and it has to be a foul, or that's because that's the sort of thing he does, and and again because. Yeah, I don't know. Are
yeah,
you afraid that at 18 he's already got an unfair label, unjustified reputation because
yeah.
people called out something when he made a celebration mocking Haaland, for Christ's sake.
I think so, honestly. And just like you, I did some chores at halftime too. So I watched the penalty through replay. So I'm glad I didn't watch it live because I would be out of broken.
You
But
won't have a telly left to watch it.
exactly. But I did that thought did cross my mind, and I was like, shit, at 18, my boy, you already have this label. Probably it feels like it, and these northern refs who are part of this little weird consortium of losers, who, if it was by merit, if they were actually hired by proper merit, I feel like we wouldn't have half, if not more, of these refs. They've now said, all right, so you're going to shit on us? Okay, cool. We'll shit on you because we can actually. And it's hard not to ignore something like that because you look at, I mean, I'm not trying to go political, but you look at America, you look at Trump. Trump is literally saying, I'm doing this because I can. And if you have power, you can do what you want. So,
Well, power without any recourse. If you got no, like you said, if you got no accountability, then yeah, you're right. It's just like,
yeah. But anyways, yeah,
But
I'm done.
I know, but it's hard. Like it's like. But you said yesterday 1-0 should have been enough, and instead, again, you can look at us. We should score more goals, but you shouldn't always have to score more goals.
Yeah.
And this is just and I'd say that cost us, and it's just it's just hard. It's hard to take. And then look, in terms of they always say don't give the referee a decision to make. Which again I hate that because don't give them because it implies they could get it wrong, and yes, that's fine. No one's perfect. People make mistakes. Footballers are making we made mistakes in order to get that situation, but but yeah, there were errors on our part. I think Kiwior, he missed the ball. People were implying that it was windy. The sun may have got in his eyes, so he didn't take care of the ball. And then MLS, he's got that habit, and we love it when it works. His way of working is to shield the ball, to try and
Yeah,
get the
yeah,
ball under control. So then, and that's Arsenal's. Just the way Arsenal play. We want to get under control. We're not a lump it, clear it, have it sort of team. That's very rare that happens. So his thing is, right, I'm going to get the ball under control, and we're going to counter here. And in doing so, he may have been off balance, tussling with Harrison. But if there's any foul, it's outside the box. But when they fall into the box, there is no foul. And actually, a lot of people say this. You always look at the other players to see the reaction.
exactly.
Harrison, he got straight back up to try and cross it. He wasn't
Yeah,
going, lying there. Hey,
yeah,
why isn't
yeah.
that a penalty? No other players are calling for a penalty. So the only person in the fans will call for a penalty because, Jesus, you
Right.
could kick the ball out.
Yeah,
You could be deliberately kick the ball out for a throw in. You say no, that's our throw. Because whatever. But the only person that mattered who thought that was a penalty was the referee. No one else did, and it was never going to be overturned because the clear and obvious error. What on earth is that? So they're saying, oh, we'll go with the on-field decision, and it's just And so look, we should not have never got ourselves into that situation, but still. Yeah, it's not a penalty. If anything, it's a free kick on the edge of the box. Unfortunately, that would have been the call, and we would have accepted that free kick, and away you go. But instead, they get the penalty. They score from the penalty. Just on a point of that, would you make a Raya would you make a Raya and penalties because he seems to have a habit of going early.
very early. So I saw that yesterday, and it is. It seems like a pattern of his, and I felt like if he did save it, they were gonna go recall that decision and give the striker another penalty. But yeah, he went too early, and like I know he's trying his best because maybe he's a short guy and he wants to give himself the best possible chance to save it. But yeah, it's gonna bite us in the ass one day when he jumps too early, he saves it, and then hey, sorry. How about you?
No, I don't know. Well, I had a look at this and I saw something on their socials. He's actually saved 2 out of 10 penalties against us, non penalty shootout penalties, which apparently is average. So therefore he's doing average, and maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's like he's it's the timing of it is like, is he looking at the player when they look down before they strike the ball? So that's when he chooses. I guess it always looks bad when it goes in and sort of goes in easy. Maybe attackers are becoming wise to the fact, so it's maybe something to work on. It's hard to, you never expect the goalkeeper to save the penalty, but it was like, was it Ramsdale or whatever? It's just sort of like, you at least want them to look like they might save a penalty one day. And I think he started off well. Well, this season, he amazing save against was it Lookman at Atalanta, and
Yeah,
he can do it. It's just I think our belief at the moment is a bit lacking, just because it looks like he's trying to anticipate, and then in anticipating, he's making it easy for the kicker to say, well, I'm going to go the other way then. If you've jumped all that way there. So there we go. So look, in terms of the game itself, any I mean, let's go through
yeah.
some of the key moments. I was just trying to think. They're very few and far, but between. I think it was actually the beginning of the game. It was quite open. I think it was quite back and forth. Couple of chances for either team. I think Sterling had a chance very early on, and then then Everton had a chance. That sort of bounced in around the box, and then the Trossard goal that I thought it was a nice goal. How did you see the goal?
So before the goal, and before Sterling's first chance, there's a chance where we dispossessed the defenders,
Mm,
and the pass that Leo sent through to Ethan was a really bad pass because if it was a
mm,
good weighted pass, Ethan had the whole goals open, ready to score. So that was
mm,
frustrating.
mm.
That's my gripe with Leo. Then we had that first chance with Sterling, and I remember the commentator saying that he should have been more composed. And I was like, this ball came in speeding straight at him. He's got a defender right in front of him. Like, I understand that Sterling is not the greatest player. I personally don't like him, but you're asking a lot from a person with low confidence to score a goal with like four defenders and a goalkeeper in front of him. So I'll give him grace. Then there was the Rice chance after was it the Leo chance?
Mm,
And that felt like, I don't know if you remember that one, that felt the rebound. It felt like
mm,
we were desperate to score because Rice
mm.
could have slowed down and he could have just said, okay, wait, let me take this a bit back, cut this guy
Yeah,
in, and then, open goals. Then,
yeah. Well, I thought the same. Yeah, again, that was one where you let the player dive in, flick it out, and you had more time. At the Sterling one, you're right. I think the player's just on him quickly, and you're just
yeah,
instinctively shooting. But the Rice one, yes, definitely. I think he had more of a he should have been more composed.
we should have been more composed.
Mm,
Then the Leo goal, I mean, the one thing I love about Leo is that he's really efficient when he gets the chance. He knows how to place a shot. He has the best technique when it comes to, or across our team at least, when it
mm,
comes to shooting and finishing. So when I saw him in that opportunity on the far left, I was like, this is going in. Like, I just knew it was
mm,
going in. And it was a counterattack, it was in transition,
mm,
which is quite exciting. We don't often see that, but we're seeing it a bit more, which is really
mm,
dope. And Sterling got an assist, and I know it's just an assist, but I hope that it brings a little bit of confidence because we're probably going to need him in one of these two games against Madrid off the
mm.
bench. So, yeah, I mean, all around, we were lucky that the defender headed it back into Sterling's arms. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm glad that we have someone like Leo who can score the way he scores.
yeah.
Because yeah, other players are doing something else there, totally different.
It was a very Leo goal, sort of very similar to the goal he scored against Tottenham, just
Yeah,
left foot across the goal, far post, and yeah, clinical, yeah, fizzed home, yeah, typical Trossard finish, and 1-0, whether it was deserved or not, don't know. But yeah, you're right, a bit of a mix up by the Everton players, and we took full advantage of that. I must admit, I wasn't 100% confident when it was Sterling driving forward. Was he going to release the ball and in time? Was it the right ball? And it wasn't an easy chance. It was still wide out, but no, he finished it well. And actually, I thought it was right into the corner, but no, it wasn't. It was still, it wasn't central, but it wasn't like right into the corner. But anyway, so 1-0, and think, okay, right, we got this. But actually, after that goal, we sort of lost control, and Everton had a few corners. They pressed us, and I was thinking, God, they're going to equalise very, very quickly.
yeah,
But when we couldn't get out of our half, and but luckily nothing came of it. And also Raya yesterday, his handling under pressure from the corners and from
so
free
good.
kicks. Other goalkeepers would be punching that or doing something. The way there was one where it was a bit nervy. We sort of like went behind him, but
Yeah,
he really eases the pressure when you've got a goalkeeper that can come and do that, ease the pressure and just grab the ball and everything. I think in the air, I think he's really good at that. So that helped, and we sort of survived that period. We had a chance towards the end of the half. I think a lovely ball by Kiwior to Trossard, but yeah, just the shot got blocked, and there we go. So the 1-0 half time, thinking fine, you know, just keep it tight. Second half, keep it tight, and actually you think, oh, we're actually maybe going to get a second because we got both Martinelli and Saka came on for Waneri and Sterling. And then yeah, shit happens. Darren England happened. And yeah, and well, we've talked that one through. So what could we do? And you think, okay, 50 minutes to go, and you think, do you take this? Because the thing is also the Everton crowd were quiet, the Everton players were quiet, and there's always they get back in the game early in the second half, and they'll get the momentum behind them, and yeah. So but it just ended up being another bitsy second half. Not a lot happened. I think for me the main thing, the highlight of the second half was that we hit a free kick on target.
Oh my
we actually we
god.
didn't hit the wall. The
uh,
goalkeeper actually had to make a save
yeah.
from a free kick. It's like hallelujah, hallelujah,
That's,
hallelujah.
yeah. On that point, the first one we took was standard Arsenal, right? Which is why we're celebrating this free kick on target.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But do you think that Saka was the right person for that, given the position of that free kick? I thought that a right-footed person, especially Rice, given how his deliveries are, I felt like he could have been that person. That was an opportunity where Reece James scored for England like 2 weeks ago, like
Mm.
identical. So you could see in Rice's frustration when Saka pulled rank. But yeah, that was standard Arsenal. We don't hit the target, but when we do, shit, let's celebrate, man.
Yeah, no, good point, because I was arguing with my son about this before that free kick, and we just have no confidence with free kick, and there's so many bodies in the way, including ours, including theirs, the big
Yeah,
units. I just didn't think it. I didn't think anything was going to come of it, and I was okay with Saka taking it. Yeah, who knows? I think the second one was a better opportunity, and you're right. I think Rice should take more free kicks. He should be shooting more. He
yeah,
should be scoring more. Just tell him it's a corner.
yeah,
just tell
exactly.
him, just tell him it's a corner. And look, he almost scored from a
He almost
corner. I
scored
think
from corner. Yeah, he nearly
in
scored.
the first half.
Yeah,
Header off the line by Everton, one of their trees, and or if it wasn't going in, then one of Arsenal players would have been there. So just tell him it's a corner. Put a corner flag there, and right, hit this and aim for that corner there. So, but it was straight at Pickford, so he made a decent save, and maybe let's hope we see more of that. Another, again, poor refereeing in the 69th minute. I think, was it O'Brien should have got his second yellow, because
yes,
he was Raya was trying to clear the ball quickly, and he was, players get booked. He was getting in the way, infringing. And you look at it, the ref was looking straight at him, didn't give a free kick, didn't give anything. And I think, well, what are you looking at? Look, I don't want a yellow card for that, but at least acknowledge that you're not allowed to do that.
yeah,
Um, and that's another frustrating thing. And then, I think, as we touched on in the beginning, last 15 minutes, I think Martinelli was very positive. He made Pickford put him into a save.
mm,
Merino had a chance with a header. I think it was difficult because he was on the outside of the post rather than central of the goal, but he heads it wide. But really not much else. And I said Everton had nothing. And then there was the bizarre moment again. What the hell's the referee doing? Where Trossard sort of fresh air kicks. I don't know if he's trying to put Tarkowski off. I don't know what he was doing, but he sort of kicked. I don't think he was kicking out. I don't know what he was doing. And then the referee blows for full time.
yeah,
Then he realised it's not full time. But I think he blew for full time because he didn't really want to make a decision about that Trossard kick, because he couldn't really make sense of it. Then he
yeah,
gives Everton the free kick. And then we're all going, you know what's going to come here, don't you?
yeah. We all felt the same thing.
What was going on?
It makes no sense. And like the reason why I don't think this is all a conspiracy and it's just incompetence is because I've seen a ref call time like 25 seconds before the end of the game. It happened like 3-4 games ago. I forgot which teams it was.
Yeah.
But it's just so ridiculous. Like some of these things, it feels like we're watching a soapy. Like genuinely, like how do you make a decision like that and then you give him the free kick? It just not a drop ball. It's just I would love for them to explain that, but they're not because they don't have to. But there is no accountability. But this is where we're at. This is the state of officiating in the most watched league in the world.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure what Trossard was doing. I don't know. For me, I think it was just trying to put the player out. I don't think he was trying to kick anyone or do
I don't
anything.
think so.
I think it was just trying to get. And it was fresh. Well, and this is quite an odd one. Why was it a free kick?
Why was it a free?
Yeah, because he didn't kick him. He just, and he didn't aim it, and it was still quite far away. I don't know. It was just bizarre. It was just a bizarre period, because he wasn't kicking out at the player to try and injure him. I don't know. It just maybe just lost where he was. The ball was, I don't know. But I couldn't even work out why it was a free kick in the first place. But again, another aspect of the refereeing from yesterday. So look, I think if you'd have said get a point away at Goodison, no injuries, play an unusual team in the first half. I think
You could take it.
most of us would have taken that. I think it helped that also Forest dropped points yesterday.
Yeah.
So look, the win should have been ours, but obviously we weren't allowed that opportunity for multiple reasons, and we move on and we forget about it very, 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 very quickly. What did you make of Kiwior's performance? So seeing as we think, well, we will get onto it, but if he's going to start against Madrid, I mean, he was given man of the match by BT. I think that was maybe a bit more of a sympathy vote rather than anything else. But what did you make of his performance?
So I didn't know that it was windy in the stadium. Maybe I wasn't listening to the commentary, but that was news to me when I was reading the show notes. But besides the missed header, I felt like he had a good game. It feels like his confidence is growing. His partnership with Saliba is growing. There's still a few like iffy moments that he experiences, but it's a lot less than it was before. So yeah, I think he's realized that Gabriel is immense, elite, probably number one in the world, and he has to replace that. But he doesn't have to become Gabriel; he just has to be good, better. So I feel like as a professional, and I'd like to think that anyone who's playing for a top club, or not even a top club, like even a championship club, your mentality is elite. So you try push yourself. And I feel like he is pushing himself a bit more. And I love that he has the freedom to pass and he gets those passes well, or he gets them through quite well, which is great to see. But yeah, maybe it's just the hope and optimism from me and just generally me. But I see an improvement, and I'm hopeful that he'll do what he needs to do against Madrid. How about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think it's good that he had a couple of games over the international break, so he's not coming in completely cold.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this will be like, he practically played the whole game against Fulham, whole game yesterday. So that's 4 games, in the last couple of weeks, because often he comes in cold. So I think that will help him. He's a better passer, I think, than Gabriel.
Yeah,
He's got a bit of pace. He obviously doesn't have the presence. He's a third choice left centre back. I mean, as third choice left centre backs go, that's darn good to have a
yeah,
Polish international, Polish
yeah,
start to. He's never going to be as good as Gabriel, and that's fine. So let's get
yeah.
the best out of him. And we'll talk about the lineup for Real Madrid in a minute. But I also thought Merino had a good game. I think he's becoming a real cult hero. I think he's been asked, play up front, play here, play there. He had a his arrival, he had played in the Euros, so he was off celebrating. Then he comes to Arsenal, gets injured, then comes into a team that's dysfunctional. And but I tell you, without him in the last few games, we're completely lost. And he's there and he's not complaining. And yeah, I think he's becoming a bit of a cult hero. He isn't that left eight that we may want. He's not an Eze. He's something very, very different. But that's not what he was brought in. And I think he's doing a great job. Sort of, I think, undervalued, and he's not spectacular. He's not flashy. I think he just gets on with it. And I think yesterday he had a pretty good game. It was just fearful. I thought, oh God, is this going to be a concussion? When he had the head injury,
Yeah.
and that hard, but luckily not. So yeah, I'm starting to. Well, I've always appreciated him. He's like a slow burner, a bit like Havertz was. So yeah, he's a good valuable player, I think, in the squad.
Yeah, I believe so too. Also, I just wanted to note, you spoke about it a few times when you're speaking about Martinelli and his chances, but yeah, Pickford, he also kind of protected their goals. I don't rate him, which is weird because I have him in my FPL team and he gets me a lot of points. But I'm always like, why is this guy in the national team? Why isn't the national team? And then I actually saw him play yesterday. I was like, all right, I see. They'll lose, but he'll get us points.
well, yeah, he gets points because he makes lots of saves.
Exactly.
I think that's how I think that's how FPL works. It's not just
Yeah.
clean sheets. If
It's
you're
not
a busy goalkeeper and you make saves,
Yeah.
he'll get you points and stuff like that. So yeah, look, I'm not a big fan of his. I think he steps up for England. yeah, he's a yeah. Again, he's got T-Rex arms, so a bit like Onana from Man United. But
Yeah,
yeah, he gets about and he works for them. So there we go. Look, 1-1 yesterday. That's unbeaten now in the last 11 Premier League away games, and actually we've only lost 2 out of 25. So that's that's not bad. For an away record. The only thing is it's another draw. So that's 11 draws this season. So one behind the Invincibles, who got 12. So, drawing that many games in a season isn't that bad, but you just have to win all the others. And we're not, we're not. But with those, though, I think the frustrating thing about those draws is that we were winning in 6 of them. 6 or 7, Brighton Hove Albion at home, Villa at home, Liverpool at home, Everton away, Brighton Hove Albion away. So we were winning. However, and also Man City away. Brighton at home, bullshit red card for Declan Rice. Man City away,
yeah,
bullshit red card for Trossard. Liverpool at home, our defence was depleted. Everton away yesterday, you saw what happened. Brighton away yesterday, that's the Saliba header, penalty.
yeah.
So imagine if those draws. Now, again, we need to be culpable because, again, a lot of those times, I think Villa at home is the one, 2-0 up and we draw 2-2. Um, you know, a lot of those ones, it's those draws were because we didn't score sufficient goals. However, again, how many of those also were ruined by poor officiating? And imagine if we had half of those points, what a difference it would be, and and what a potential title challenge it would be. It's frustrating, all those draws, but I think people hate it, but there are reasons for it. It's not excuses, but there are reasons. There's mitigation, and could have been a very different story had it fallen differently in terms of luck and officiating.
No, I agree. And I mentioned it earlier. I mean, depending on the Arsenal fan you speak to, we've lost 11 to 14 points from poor officiating. And
Mm.
yeah, I mean, there's not much to add besides that hopefully next season we'll be luckier, right? And
Yeah.
not in creating our own luck, no, by literally just having officials who are better at doing their job, and not having 4 long-term hamstring injuries in the season.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We just have to score lots of goals and mitigate for everything, and that's
yeah,
it. That's
so let's be
that's the only way we can do
yeah,
it.
let's be
Let's do
patient.
that.
That makes total sense. It's realistic. We can do it.
So look, we remain in second. So Forest lost 2-1 away to Villa. So City play United today. I think Chelsea play Brentford away. Fulham, Liverpool today, and then Leicester City will lose against Newcastle on Monday. So look, where do you stand? Do you care if we finish second? Are you worried about the league at all? Look, Champions League, I think, is pretty much guaranteed. But is it important to you to finish second, or if we finish second, third, who cares?
I think it's important for us to finish second. Second 3 times in a row it's weird. Maybe it's an ego thing. Is better than second 2 times in a row and then third. I feel
Yeah.
like we should finish second, and I'm sure there's more money that comes with finishing second.
Hmm.
So let's just. I want the team to say to themselves, guys, we've been second 3 times. We have to come first now, right? It's a weird logic because I'm
No,
thinking
makes
of the
sense.
past. But yeah, that's where I'm at. How about
Yeah. No. I think it's important. Well, yeah, because imagine the narrative. Oh, you came third and not in Forest for second. Yeah, just things like that. I mean, talking with my son, he doesn't care. He just has zero care whether we finish second or third. It makes no difference to him. But I just think you've got to try and finish as high as you
yeah,
can.
yeah.
Not at all costs, like we showed yesterday. Because you've got other big things, but yeah, because I want to finish above Chelsea, I want to finish above Man City, because obviously again the narrative, the story, you want to finish is, of course, it's not first, and we're miles off that, but yeah, why shouldn't we finish as high as we possibly can? And I think Jamie said on pod a few weeks back, it's just in terms of our history, coming second, we haven't done it that often, recent, and so on. It's still like in the top 10,
Yeah,
positions we've achieved. So like, again, a lot of people don't care about that. A lot of people, it's all about winning or nothing. But yeah, I'd rather see our name second than anyone else's. You know, and so we're again 5 points now above Nottingham Forest, plus big goal difference, and 10 Chelsea, and 11 for Man City, and so now it's actually the top four battle is getting interesting. You got
Top five.
Newcastle on 50 on only played 29, Villa on 51 played 31, Man City on 51 played 30, Chelsea on 52. What would be brilliant? I'd be happy for Newcastle to get into Champions League, so then we don't have to have the Isaac saga, because I can't be doing with that. I cannot be doing with that over the summer. Just sort of like. But how funny would it be if Chelsea and Man City finish 6th and 7th, out of the Champions League spots, and Villa and Newcastle
Oh
get
my
past them?
God.
That would
Yeah,
be
that is
glorious.
ideal. So your points around Newcastle, I wanted them to drop out, but you're actually so right. There will be a saga literally the whole summer. Oh, is he going to go? Is he not going to go? But it'd be hilarious if Chelsea and City
Mm,
finish outside the top five, and that is the hope, right? But it seems like
mm,
with Palmer back, it seems like Chelsea might just creep it. With Man City, they're so random this season. Like they're
mm.
so random that who knows? Let's continue praying.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. But of the two, hopefully, I'd rather Chelsea didn't qualify for Champions League, just because I think they need the money, and just Man City's Man City, but Chelsea, yeah. Bleh. Anyway,
I
enough
know.
of that. We'll see. We'll see how that pans out. So on to part two, and the big one: Real Madrid at home on Tuesday evening, Champions League quarter final. What are you looking forward to? Not looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing Arsenal, and this is very broad, this is very general and cliche, but I'm looking forward to seeing Arsenal and Real Madrid play in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. I don't have any specific moment, thing that I'm looking forward to. It's just the whole day. Like I've been dreaming about this since Henry ran through that team. And we back tabs, like we actually are real life back. So for me, it's the whole day. And I've told the guys in the group, the Grow group, shout out. I took the day off so I can make sure I get a ticket. But even if I don't get a ticket, I will make sure that that day will be Arsenal versus Real Madrid day in everything that I do. I might go to North London to watch the game, might stick at home, might call mates, but I'm just looking forward to the whole occasion. Yeah.
And what are you not looking forward to?
I'm not looking forward to Madrid doing what Fergie's United used to do to us: absorb pressure, counter, and because they have some of the best forwards in the world, score a goal from like one chance. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but Madrid constantly overperforms their XG in Champions
Mm.
League knockouts, and it's simply because they have that belief that they're Madrid and they have the best strikers in the world or best forwards in the world. So I'm not looking for that because I know that we are, and we'll also chat about this. I know that we're going to control the game somewhat, but all they need to do is just counter and break us. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to Fergie's United tactics.
It's interesting you say to Fergie, because I think this might be the biggest European night at the Emirates since was it the semi-final
Yeah,
against Manchester United. I remember being there. There was flags. Everyone was up for it. I can't remember the score in the first leg. I think we might have lost 1-0 in the first leg. You think, okay, we got a chance here, and then Ronaldo and Rooney killed us 2-0 in the first 10 minutes. Kieran Gibbs, I think, messed up or something like that, and it was sort of like it was like the balloon, like the bubble had burst, and it's like, oh great, it's like and I think we ended up losing 3-1, and the only I feel really bad actually about this being the highlight was the fact that I think was it Carrick? No, not Carrick. One of the players got a yellow card, so therefore he was suspended for the final, and that was the only cheer that Arsenal had. I can't remember. I can't remember. It might have been Fletcher, or I can't remember who it was at the time. But yeah, that was the only bit of Schadenfreude, and even then I sort of feel bad about that now. but fuck them, it's Man United. But yeah, so yeah, it's interesting you say the Man United thing. I'll start off with not looking forward to it. I don't want our bubble to be burst. I don't want us to be rabbits in the headlights, be humiliated, get taken apart. I don't think it was happen. I think we're too good for that.
I think so too.
and I want to make sure that we're in the second leg. I don't want the first leg in it to be the second leg becomes irrelevant. So yeah, I just not looking forward to that. Yeah, that bubble bursting. And looking forward to. I guess it depends if I get a ticket on. Well, I've got a ticket, but I'm giving it to my son. So I need to find myself a ticket. So it depends in terms of being there. But it'll be an amazing occasion. It'll be an amazing night, an amazing atmosphere, and everyone's going to be loving it until we see Mbappe running at Kiwior. But no, joking aside. But yeah, so it's going to be cracking. I think everyone's going to be so up for it. I just think, I just want to the world's going to be watching. Let's. I don't think we're going to be putting on a show, but just give a good account of ourselves.
Yeah.
And look, I know we're short, and know we're not at our best, and that's frustrating. I know we wish we had taken these big teams on, not fairly, but that we were like going to match them in terms of we're at our best, they're at our best, and that's what you want to see. But that's not what's happening, and we've got to deal with it. And that's what Arteta does. We got to deal with it, and people have got to step up, and we got to play. So with that, what do you think? What do you think the lineup is gonna be? Our back four, our forwards. Yeah, what do you reckon the lineup's going to be?
So I say this in the most respectable way possible. I absolutely do not want to see Benjamin start at right back. I want to see Timber. Timber's a much better 1v1 defender. I'm glad that Benjamin started the last game, but you could see he's still a little bit rusty. And just on the points around Kiwior and how he's played a few games before he got to this point, there's a difference when you're actually playing games. So my back four would be our best back four right now, which would be Timber, Saliba, Kiwior, and MLS. Then midfield would be our best midfield right now, which is Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. I was going to say Merino. Then up front, Martinelli, obviously, Merino, and Saka only if Saka's fit. If Saka isn't 100% fit, let's not start him, because I know the boy is going to try to push himself, and I know that he's going to try and make sure that he brings something out and could aggravate his recovery, right? So if he doesn't start, I guess Leo, right? Martinelli and Leo, Merino. But yeah, that's my starting lineup. I feel like that's the best team we could possibly have.
Yeah, there's talk like would you shuffle Timber over to left centre back, so you have your four best defenders, but I don't really agree with that. Just because you're the best player doesn't mean in that position you'll be the best in that position, because playing left centre back, your spaces, your relationships with the right centre back and the left back, you're unfamiliar positions. So you may be a better player, but you may not be the best player in that position if you catch my drift. So there's talk of that, and no, I'm with you on the back foot. That's Kiwior's role. Next man up. You play and you do a good job. In terms of Saka starting, I think we've been building up for Saka starting. I have a couple of doubts after yesterday. I heard someone say that he was feeling his hamstring a little bit. You could see he was not coming in going on the right. He was coming in on the left. So protecting that doesn't fill me with 100% confidence. And you know how much he has to defend. Well, how much Arteta expects. If he plays, he's playing the proper game. He's not going to be given a free ride like Salah. He's got to do the yards. So he's got to be backing up Timber against Vinny Jr. Is he able to do that? So I'm 50-50 on Saka starting. I think we were leading up to it, but I think maybe yesterday's half might be telling on that. And if not, I think he goes with experience. And starts Nelly on the right hand side, maybe to help with Vinny. Trossard on the left, Merino up front. Sterling's suspended, so we don't get to see him.
Yeah.
We don't get to see him, and the only other thing to be fearful of is Rice is is one yellow away from missing the second leg. So I don't think that will be in his mind, but that would be gutting if he's out for the second leg. And in terms of how we approach the game, do we sit back a bit? Do we try and deny them space, or is it just typical Arsenal? I mean, Real letting goals. Do we throw caution to the wind and say, you know what, let's have a basketball match? I'd much rather play him a basketball, to be honest, than football at the moment. But but let's have a basketball match. Who's going to outscore who? So how do you think we approach the game?
I feel like we'll play our game. As I mentioned, Real, especially in these games, they always overperform their XG. And if you just
Yeah, go
watch,
on, talk it. Yeah, go on, talk us through that. So
no, no.
you were mentioning it.
So I don't have it in front of me right now, but I won't
Oh,
talk about it. I want to just bring up
okay.
just
Yeah,
in general. So let's take out the
yeah.
stats. If you just watch Madrid in a quarterfinal or in a knockout round in the Champions League, they hardly ever dominate. We saw it against City to the point where City players after the game were complaining, saying, "Oh, you guys are parking the bus. You guys suck." We saw it against Borussia Dortmund in the final. Was it last season where
Mm-hmm.
Dortmund should have won that game, but they just didn't take the chances. It's simple as that. Real Madrid won because they took their chances, but it also helps that you have the best strikers in the world. It helps that you have this aura that you are Madrid, that you've done this before multiple times, that when you win a league, and Tuchemeni was saying this, when you win a Champions League, the guys have won it 3, 4 times. They don't really celebrate. They're like, okay, cool. How do we win it next season? When you have that mentality and the talent, you can beat anyone, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to be the best team on the pitch. So I feel like we'll play our game. We're going to control the game, do what we need to do, horseshoe it, and try find opportunities. I know that they're not going to have a low block. They might play us in another way and try absorb pressure in another way, but it's not going to be like an Everton low block, frustrating.
Mm.
Their defenders are touch and go. Vinny Jr. doesn't defend or track back as much as our players track back. So there will be opportunities for us to, I guess, kind of basketball it. But I feel like we'll play our game and hopefully just take our chances. I think that's the
Mm.
biggest thing. We'll have chances. I have no doubt about that. Let's just take our chances. I don't see us playing the game that we've played against City, the game where we are more pragmatic, more calculated. I feel like that can definitely win us something. Definitely, if we go do that at their home, which again, it's not a fortress like these other teams,
Mm.
but I just can't see us being pragmatic against Madrid because in terms of actual like football in these realms, I feel like we're a good team, and I don't want to say a better team. They're a better team, but we play good football. So
Mm.
that's where I'm at. I'm hopeful that we'll play our game and then just take our chances.
Yeah, no, I think we are a better team against teams that are a bit more open, that don't have that
Yeah,
low block. We can express ourselves a bit more. We're going to be susceptible on the break. They can break fast, and we just got to be mindful of that. So maybe we don't play with such a high line.
yeah,
Okay, Gabriel's not playing, but when you see Saliba and Gabriel halfway into the opponent's half, and then there's a massive gap to Raya on the center circle. you,
yeah,
you, you, you know, uh, so yeah. But in terms you were saying about that XG thing, so I've got it here. So Real Madrid's aggregate XG in the Champions League knockout stages. So was it Real versus PSG? They had 2.15 versus 3.34. Against Chelsea, they had 2.58 to 4.58. Against Man City, 4.28 to 4.38. Against Liverpool, there was 0.92 to 2.19. Leipzig, 2.2 to 2.44. Man City, again, 2.09 to 3.54. It was only that when they beat Bayern 4-3 once, they had double the XG. And then you said against Dortmund in the final, 1.13 to 2.08. So they are just clinical in terms of performing in terms of their XG. They get a chance and they score it.
mm,
Or they outperform the XG. They'll get and so on. And but they also let in goals. I mean, those
yeah,
games. 3-2 against PSG, 5-4 against Chelsea, 6-5 against Man City. I think this is most probably over 2 legs as well. 1-0 against Liverpool, 2-1 against Leipzig, 4-all against Man City, 4-3 against Bayern, 2. So, I mean, the one thing they let in goals. You're right. They are not. They're inevitable, but not invincible.
yes, exactly.
If you see me,
Yeah,
Champions League, what made me laugh and just knew it, and then looking at the group stage, they finished 12th in the group
yeah,
stage, but beforehand, they lost away to Lille They lost at home to AC Milan. They lost against Liverpool. They only just beat Atalanta. And it was like Real Madrid in crisis. And no, it's not Real Madrid in
It's
crisis.
really good.
Real Madrid just managing themselves. They finished 12th, and then they beat Man City quite easily in the qualifying round. They got through controversially against Atletico Madrid in terms of there was the controversy around the penalty, but they just ramp up and they keep and they said they're not invincible, they are inevitable, and this is now their time. April, May, Champions League, this is their time. But as you said, they lost at home 2-1 against Valencia, who hadn't won away in 14 games, who are fighting relegation. Um, you, you know,
And they
uh,
dominated that game. Like
yeah,
I don't often see them dominate games the way they did yesterday, but they did. So
yeah,
yeah, and I think just
yeah.
going back to your point around invincible, sorry, inevitable, not invincible. I think the most exciting part about this experience on Tuesday is if we win, we are beating this team that is inevitable, and I think our confidence is going to skyrocket. And that's for me what we get out of that game. Besides the trophy, is just more than anything that you can pay for. You can't sign that in a transfer window. You can't sign confidence from beating this inevitable team.
Mm.
So yeah. Again, I know I've said this a few times. I'm really excited.
It's exciting, and I think they had one eye again on this first leg. So they'll be thinking about coming to Arsenal and the rest of it. They had an 18-year-old in goal, unfortunate debut in goal, but unfortunately, I think Courtois will be back,
Oh Jesus!
which is a shame. So so look, they've got quality players all over the park. I think Bellingham, Mbappe, Vinny Junior,
Oh, Lord.
Turameni, Rudiger. I think the successor in defence. I think they got some players that are out, and they got players playing out of position. So let's just see what happens. So and in terms of injuries, I say Turameni's out. He's suspended.
Yeah.
Carvajal's out. Dani Ceballos doubtful. Get the return of Danny. Was it Mendy's out? Militao out. Courtois, I think they said, I saw a report, he said, no, they expect him to be back. So look, as you said, there's a lot to be excited about. We're playing Real Madrid in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and this is what it's all about. Yeah, we had to suffer the Europa League
Yeah.
and that poxy tune for too long. And these are the games we should be excited about. These are the teams we want to see at the Emirates. We want to be playing against, to test ourselves against. As I said, it's a shame that we are not at our best, but so that we just, what it will be, and we have to just just get on with it. But I've said it often enough, football is stupid. So
Yes.
who knows what happens? Now, we did it back in 2006 with a worse back four.
Yeah.
So I say, look, let's get behind the team. Whoever's on the pitch, give them a full support and backing, and you never know. And this could go down as one of the best nights in Arsenal's history at the Emirates. To finish off with, like Arteta said about the game, one of the most beautiful games that you can play in football in the highest European competition against the team that has dominated the competition in the last 20, 25 years. So yeah, really looking forward to it. So, so predictions, given that big build up, given everything we said, what are you predicting?
It's my first time.
0-0. You're going 0-0.
First time thinking about this. I haven't thought about it at all, but I'm just excited for the experience. I'm gonna say 1-0 to Arsenal.
So after all the free scoring,
I
after
know.
we're
I
going to
know. And us
1-0 to the
conceding,
Arsenal.
them conceding. I know it's crazy. I just haven't thought about this. Fuck, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna say 1-0 to Arsenal.
1-0 to the Arsenal. All right, we're keeping a clean sheet. Look, I will take that. I will take that all day. However,
It's Madrid.
it's Madrid. It's Arsenal. It would be the irony of all ironies. This ends up 0-0.
I know, right?
That would be funny. Who knows? You're right. It's a toughie. My head says 2-2. I'm going to go 2-1. Because sorry, I'm not going to predict. I'm going to get my heart rule my head here. I'll go 2-1, even though 2-2 is possible. So we'll see. So you got 1-0 to the Arsenal. I got 2-1 to the Arsenal. At least we don't have Darren England refereeing. So that's the that's a good thing. So we'll see. So, but saying that, it's Real Madrid, and if any team has referees in their
Yeah, in their pockets.
on
Sure.
their side, yeah, great. Anyway, on that note, no, on a positive note, we're going to win 2-1. We're going to go to the Bernabeu, get a 0-0, and we're going to play PSG in the semi-final. So here we go.
Here we go.
Okay, so Kuziva, thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah,
That was
yeah, it was good
fun.
chatting about bleakness yesterday, but also really exciting chatting about Madrid and just
Yeah,
massive opportunity.
yeah, it's what it's all about. So thank you for your time this morning. It's a sunny day out there, so hopefully you get to enjoy the rest of the day. Looks like a nice one. So look, if you made it this far and are full of positivity, like us here at the Grove, then thank you for listening. And if you like what you hear, and even if you don't like what you hear, just like, subscribe. You don't have to listen, and but maybe others will. And look, you can find us on Threads and Blue Sky at the Grove AFC. And the next show will be post the big one, post Real Madrid, and pre Everton, not pre Everton, sorry, pre Brentford, which hopefully isn't too much of a come down.
And
So,
also, sorry, pre the
yeah.
women's semi-final against
Oh
Leon.
yes, against Lyon, indeed. So there you go, big week for the Arsenal men and the women in Europe. So that all that leaves me to say is thank you very much, and until the next time, come on, you Gunners.